the blessing. Aha, and ubeti and some pano. Aha, and ubeti dear Nyankopon adom out their chair life. So whatever you aspire to do, yes, this is the place that you can really share your thoughts, your concerns, and whatever you hear from the platform. And inti your number in the maybe I need to journal. If you have any concerns, you just call on our 0553052363, 0553052363, or you send your comment or text via our Facebook and YouTube as the show continues. Yebeshas here with the newspaper headlines as always. Yes, the time is 8:50 a.m. The Workata Daily Graphic was the outgrowers evade repayment for 20 years. Banks, industry players petition ministries to revive scheme. Yeah, and the front page, major headlines. Get Fund releases 199.47 million Ghana cedi to settle some more free SHS TVET arrears. The full details, you can find it on the Daily Graphic. Ghanaian immigrant to benefit from Spanish immigration amnesty. Yes, Spanish immigration amnesty. Yeah, that's the Daily Graphic. Daily Guidance, so I said, then Get Fund releases 199.47 million Ghana cedi to free SHS and the TVET perishables. So okay, so I'm saying no, yeah, the soundbite quite bremo for the issue of the school feeding. Some teachers, especially those from Charles, were raising concerns about feeding issues in the schools, but that has been addressed. $8 million romance scam. Abu Treka gets 30 million Ghana cedi bill. And also on front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. Tension over Adamu's mines. Assembly calls on minister to act. Go board support 10-year-old brain patient. Hey, go board. Maya Dipa. Yeah, social responsibility. Yes. The base. Ghana First seals the base movement. And also the Custodian newspaper see minority exposes government over joined up assault on OSP. Honorable Asan Tampoli, he addresses this particular press conference. Concerns raised by the minority. What the minority was saying with regards to the issue of the OSP. Okay. All right. So this is what's happened. The minority, and then we go back to your friend is saying the deputy attorney general for Eribata. Antonio Yemfa, the your friend is saying minority that did a press conference with regards to the issue of the OSP. So him said high court directives that they need to get a friend saying green lights from the Attorney General's office as and when the need arises. The Supreme Court is the one that is entitled or in charge in terms of the interpretation and what have you. The High Court doesn't have that jurisdiction. That is lawyers. I am not a lawyer. And the minority on this particular issue.
Coordinated campaign of petitions were mounted against the OSP. On 26th January, Chief Justice Bafoboni determines that not a single petition had a prima facie value. 27th January, the Supreme Court dismisses the OSP's application to be joined as a party to the Adamton suit. On 8th April, Attorney General files submission at the Supreme Court siding with the plaintiff, Adamton. 15th April, exactly 1 week later, the High Court grants a quo warranto to Peter Hyde and declares OSP's prosecutorial powers null and void. This is not a sequence of coincidence. It is a campaign. The minority names it as such. The minority will be failing in its duty if it did not say plainly and with the force of moral outrage what all of this means for the character of the NDC government and enforce. The OSP's mandate continues in full. We urge the OSP to continue his work, not to be intimidated or operationally paralyzed by a ruling that is itself constitutionally void. The minority stands firm with the OSP's stated position All prosecutions commenced and about to be commenced by the OSP remain valid, and the office must proceed on the basis of its statutory mandate until the Supreme Court says otherwise. The demands of the minority. The High Court ruling must be immediately challenged and stayed, and we call on the OSP to immediately appeal the decision of the High Court and immediately also apply for a stay of execution at the High Court. And we dare also add that he must also proceed to the Supreme Court with a writ of certiorari to quash the decision of the High Court. 2, we call on the Supreme Court to expedite its determination in Adekye versus the Attorney General. The Supreme Court question must be resolved definitely and authoritatively by the courts alone, by the court that alone.
Any the consent raised by the minority, and the press conference was addressed by the former deputy minister, who is now that's Honorable Hassan Tampoli and Amuti Ninkano. Yes, so the custodian newspaper has this particular story on the front page. The custodian newspaper say Ghana's domestic debt up by 224 billion Ghana cedi in 2025. You can find the full details on page 12 of the custodian newspaper. NDC bigwigs hustle to succeed Mahama. Asedun Ketia, Julius Debra lead in fight race. The front page of the friends in the custodian newspaper. Gold board gives 86.454 to 10-year-old the Ghana city, to 10-year-old girl battling with brain tumor. And I'm saying, and Adekye daily got quite a similar story. Eddie Etuja. Another prayer provides water for 5 communities in Sawam Adwajiri. You can see the former chief executive also Nymphoni Ebata. This particular story at the custodian newspaper Eddie Etuja. The Ghanaian publisher will see revoke Hart Goldfields deal. Yes, you can see lawyer Martin Pebu, private legal practitioner. Yes, he's the one raising voice with consent to government. Minority accuses government of plot to weaken OSP. Global funds little Regina brain surgery. And this way, Mosquito Julius lead NDC race survey. Mustafa Hamid trial adjourned over OSP authority. The new sentence was in government crippling OSP to weaken corruption fight. We a minority. Ghana's economic future tied to local capacity bidding. ECG in 3 figures here. ECG in 3.46 billion Ghana cedi procurement, while report on 2,637 missing containers hidden from the public. Containers here say no, but say up to now no mu nyina and container adani kosia etimi share bottom. That is Ghana. Government added 24 billion Ghana cedi to domestic debt in 2025. The story, you can find it on page 8 of the newspaper, the News Center. And MTN Ghana wins Okla Awards for fastest mobile and fixed network. The full details of the story, you can find it on page 12 of the newspaper. Global Peace, the new publisher also saying Abu Treka granted 30 million Ghana cedi bill. OSP court cases in limbo. Mustafa Hamid trial stopped. Minority demand urgent action. Muma Nkonenkoti, the deputy attorney general, when he was also trying to explain the reasons why they think the OSP would need an authorization from the attorney general before he can proceed based on the particular case that they are pursuing. Muma Nkonenkoti, the deputy attorney general.
You cannot use an ordinary legislation to hive off something that has been given by the Constitution. Okay. You have to use the Constitutional amendment process to achieve that hiving off. So that is so, even though the desire is to hive off, you need to follow the process or the procedure for hiving off.
or carve out or designate some of.
Yes, so if you don't use that process, it's a bit more complex. Let me just try to break it down. There's no one in this country, I've not seen any lawyer in this country who believes that you can create an independent prosecutorial authority without amending the Constitution. In other words, every lawyer like every proper lawyer agrees in this country. I think among all lawyers, regardless of their age at the bar, they all agree that to be able to create an independent constitutional, prosecutor, the independent prosecutorial authority, you need to amend Article 88 to carve out that, because currently as it stands, all prosecutorial power vests in the Attorney General alone. So if you want to be independent of him, what you need to do is to go and amend Article 88 to achieve that result. Now, without amending Article 88, you have a situation where the OSP Act is saying that you have to prosecute on the authority of the Attorney General. So then it means that, desirable as the independence will be, all of us want that.
Baraka FM.
But you cannot achieve it by using an ordinary legislation to
We Deputy Attorney General, yes, Dr. Muti Ninkano. Cocoa farmers cuts off his own. Hey, some way the intimbo, fantuja. Was where you Japan in free hole. Yeah, some more. Then Kwana I see, and OSD NDC 2028 flag bearer race even spelt APL survey. The Daily Statement was his Sami Awoku cautions against politicization of state security agencies. Sami Awoku, yes, that is a kwapim note. No. Julius Debra in Ketia in neck-to-neck NDC flag bearer race. Gobolt rescues 10-year-old girl. Yes, and the same said he kindly to job. Expired 120-day notice. Unresolved reaches hand health goal feeds. Minority NDC neck deep in corruption. We minority in the press conference and The Republic Press or see minority cries for OSP as office lands in government crash airs. Mustafa Hamid trial in limbo, case caught in OSP AGC's crossfire. Baumia engages EU envoys on economy, security cooperations, and also the front page headlines of the Republic Press. Abutreka granted bail, pass and assent to aging bill, government urged. Government approves payments of arrears for newly recruited teachers. Newly recruited teachers said the arrears have been paid. The Source newspaper also said the High Court grants Abutreka 30 million bail, 30 million Ghana cedi bail. NDC 2028 race, Julius Debra Asedun Ketia battle it out. Release full CRC report, Democracy Hub to government. High Court erred on OSP prosecutorial powers. We a minority. Honorable Hassan Tampoli and addressee the saying minority press conference on the OSP saga. The National Voice and so also saying Mahama promised to stop Galamsey. He has rather escalated it. Some more. Cassius mining judgment debt claims swells to $905 million as Ghana prepares for final hearing. NDC 2028 race tight as Johnson Asedun Ketia, Chairman General, with Julius Debra ran neck to neck. APL survey and Edisa Samuel Tuja. Laura Paramount Chief dead. Hey, newspaper. Anyway, that's the newspaper. So much on and not yaking can edit my own. Daybreak newspaper say NDC flag bearer is Asedun Ketia, Julius Debra tie in fairly pool. Yelmadin under fire over broken $500 million deal. New $65 million chase. Airport, police rescue abducted girl. Nab suspect. Hey, has some more. The Chronicle News was NDC presidential primary. Mosquito leads Julius Debra. APL poll reveals. Goalball rescue 10-year-old girl with brain conditions. The Accra Times. Or see, you are my political pillars. Agaga eulogizes constituent. Drug abuse is dangerous and destructive. We air Northern Regional Minister Adolf. Good news for North. Mahama to self-finance Tamale water projects. Plans to establish 5 processing plants underway. Hey. ENP, engineers and planners to provide local employment for Daman youth. We air Lands Ministry. Minority raises concern over OSP development. Longest serving DCE for Bilsa traditional area. Daniel Sam goes home on April 25th, 2026. The Speaker of Parliament, Speaker of Ghana's Parliament, Speaker Gbagwin, calls for stronger institutions. That is very, very necessary. Unfortunately, in this country, that's what we don't really respect. The institutions must be strengthened and for them to be able to do their work. Yes, and that is why you remember when Obama, yes, the former president of the United States, when he came to this country, he said, no, our institutions must be well established so that whoever comes would fit in and do their job. But if you build the people when they are absent, any other person that comes, there's no anything that would be able to follow as a blueprint. Into a call in the right direction. Speaker, any majority leader, and then I think a visitor they had who is in the middle. Then there's no name attached to this. Okay. The Daily GT newspaper so say the infighting hits the base movement. Hey, base movement. Someone in base movement. I get them say I'm move for PRO. Adamus mining dispute. Assembly members ran to Lands Minister. NDC presidential race. Mosquito Julius Zebra in 2-horse race. All right, get fund those out 199 million Ghana cedi for SHS feeding. We story and the ebremo. Yes. And the assurance that there will not be any food shortage in the schools as school reopens. Minority blows NDC cover to kill OSP. Bawa engages EU ambassadors. And also the Meridian newspaper also say NDC 2028 Asedun Ketia takes early lead over Julius Debra. APL survey. Get the newspaper for details. Killing the OSP minority slams NDC over corruption fights. The Daily Banner will say Asedun Ketia narrowly lead Julius Debra in NDC 2028 race. New APL survey. Adamus remains committed to advancing interest of mining communities. Abu Treka granted 30 million Ghana bill. Minority vows to resist executive takeover of anti-corruption fight. Enosunu Ewaha. Address that was done by Honorable Alassane Tampoli. The Supreme newspaper says court halts NPA proceeding over challenge to OSP authority. And Honorable Alhaji Mustafa, in fact, Doctor Osai Sheikh Mustafa Hamid Nymphoni debated this particular story. NDC neck deep in corruption, bent on killing OSP minority. NDC 2028 flag bearer race evenly split with no run away leader. We APL survey. Adamus reaffirms commitment to Nzima communities, dismissing concession allegations. Nemos arrest 6 Chinese nationals in armed illegal mining raid. The armed paid. Ghanaians facing a harsh cost of living climate under NDC. We Jinapo, former Minister of Lands, and or the Assembly Eddie Tuja. Yes. The brother now, the senior brother, I think, yes, is now the Minister of Energy. All right, the Jinapo, no. Sami Awuku reveals behind the scenes unity talks between Baumia and NPP aspirant. Abrogate Bogo Superstia mine lease now. Yes, Kaka demands immediate government action. Yeah, minority accuses government of moves to weaken special prosecutor office amid corruption claims. Bawumia holds talks with EU ambassadors on security, trade, and investment cooperations. We aired a paid newspaper. The Metro Lens, or see MIIF, nets 5.43 billion Ghana cedi in royalties. The full detail of that particular story, you can find it on page 6. I said in Ketia, Pips Julius Debra in NDC 2028 released new APL pool. Abutrika granted 30 million Ghana cedi bail. NDC bent on weakening OSP, minority allegations, deep corruption. Daily Searchlight, this was scandal rocks Wasa and Memphis police over 1.7 million Ghana cedi alleged extortion. Trouble in CPP as Council of Elders to reject Central Committee directives. Hey, CPP, Nkrumah Party, the one and the only CPP. They are always infighting. They be yara. In fact, sometimes when they head into elections, CPP and Omojina Munaiso, say court and sensem. Until you can find a full detail of this particular story in page 2 of the newspaper. That says trouble in CPP as Council of Elders reject Central Committee directives. Bogosu Prestia mine questions grow over unfulfilled $500 million